Welcome, welcome, welcome. I would like to welcome you to episode 283 of the Unpopular podcast. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Jalen Hunter. And if you do me a favor, please subscribe to every listening. Please subscribe to every watching. It definitely means a lot to me. First and foremost, before we start this, I want to apologize again. If you saw my Instagram post, I want to apologize for not having an episode out on Wednesday. I recorded a good episode too, and then because I didn't have enough storage on my computer, the whole episode deleted right before my very eyes. It was a hurtful situation, and there was no way in heaven and hell I was about to run that back. So did not get an episode. So I apologize for not dropping on Wednesday, but I am back. Appreciate you guys. Not only am I back, the NBA season's back. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to give my predictions, awards, NBA finals, stuff like that. I have to keep the same energy for the Dodgers that I kept for the Mets. So we're going to talk about that towards the end of the show. But this is where we'll start. Sunday confirmed something for me. You remember a couple years ago when the Chiefs went against the Rams? It was Patrick Mahomes against Jared Goff. And it was probably one of the best games we've ever seen. It was like 56 to like 48 or something like that. They were going back and forth. It was one of the best games we've ever seen. And this was at the height of the Rams as they were, as far as you had Jared Goff, Todd Gurley was great. Aaron Donald was a little young. Aaron Donald was a little younger. That was that team. And we were thinking, Jared Goff is having one of the best seasons for the quarterback at the time. I think he was in MVP talks. Of course, he got them to the NBA or the Super Bowl, even though they didn't win. But we were thinking, is this going to be the next great battle? Is this going to be the next great quarterback battle between Jared Goff and Patrick Mahomes? Patrick Mahomes was younger. Jared Goff was younger. And because we look back, right? And the league has always had two quarterbacks that are just above the rest and go head-to-head. Like in the 80s, it was Joe Montana and John Elway. They would go back and forth, While one was more successful as far as winning championships, those were clearly the top two quarterbacks, and they would go head-to-head. In the 90s, Steve Young and Joe Montana. Steve Young, we know who these people are. Joe Montana, they were the top two. I would say probably Steve Young and Brett Favre, but Joe Montana was still Joe Montana, even though he did go to the Chiefs. I'll say Steve Young and Brett Favre. They were going back and forth, back and forth. Jim Kelly was up there, but it was mainly Steve Young and Brett Favre. In the 2000s, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Go back and forth. Many people say Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time. I say Peyton Manning is probably the best regular season quarterback of all time. In the 2000s, early 2000s, 2010s, let's say, in the 2010s, it was Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. We know this. Aaron Rodgers was, even though he does have one champion or one Super Bowl, we know that when we talk about the top two quarterbacks in the 2000s, it goes to Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. So for the 2020s, we're thinking, who is it going to be? We know Patrick Mahomes is going to be up there. Patrick Mahomes is, hell, a lot of people think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback of all time at this point. Just doesn't have the accolades. When we talk about talent, a lot of people have Patrick Mahomes up there. So you didn't know who was going to be. And I brought up that game because Sunday confirmed something to me. I brought up the Jared Goff and the Rams going up against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs because we thought that could possibly be the next, the next best rivalry in the league as far as quarterbacks. But boy, were we wrong. Jared Goff punk faked the hell out of us. And then we had the game last year. The Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. Probably one of the best games, if not the best game I've ever seen in my life, especially when we talk about the ending of the game. And then the questions, because Josh Allen had an incredible year last year. Patrick Mahomes had an incredible year last year, even though they both didn't make it to the Super Bowl. They both were pretty much top-tier quarterbacks. Now, yes, we know Aaron Rodgers won the MVP last year, but Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen were right there. So, questions were spiraling again. Is this going to be the next quarterback rivalry? You know? And when I say this, that doesn't take away from the great quarterbacks that we have, like Lamar Jackson, like Justin Herbert, like hell, Tom Brady's still there. Aaron Rodgers, even though he's struggling this year, he's still there. But Sunday confirmed it for me. Now, yes, we will break down all the games that happened on Sunday, but the one that I need to start with is, of course, the Chiefs lost to the Bills 20-24. That the game was a display of top tier quarterback play. There was no doubt. There should have been no doubt in your mind who the two best players were for each team. Now, yes, that should never really be a doubt when we talk about these two, but Patrick Mahomes and what Sunday showed me is that there is those two, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, and then there's a large gap. No offense to any of the quarterbacks out there, but what we saw, even though it was 24-20, that was by far the best game that was on Sunday. And I that game confirmed to me, at least for the time being, that we have that next quarterback matchup. The quarterback matchup that's going to be that we're going to talk about for years and years to come. Both of them's in the AFC. Both of them are on really good teams. Both of them have championship desires. That is going to be it. Because the game was decided on two mistakes. Well, on one mistake. And that was Patrick Mahomes throwing an interception at the end of the game, which he is not, it doesn't really happen. He threw two interceptions. I think Josh Allen threw one. Josh Allen was throwing bombs to Gabriel Davis, to Stephon Diggs, Dawson Knox. Patrick Mahomes was throwing bombs to Travis Kelce and McCole Harmon and Juju Smith-Schuster. This is it. Now, the thing about it is, it doesn't. A lot of people are going to hear this argument and think, okay, so it must be who's the best quarterback at the time. No. There was a year when Cam Newton was the best quarterback. I don't think he was in any conversation to be in the quarterback rivalry. No offense to Cam Newton. He's a great quarterback. There was a year Matt Ryan was, when he took the Atlanta Falcons to the Super Bowl, there was a year he was the best quarterback in the NFC. Nobody thought that he was going to be the next great quarterback. You see, there are great quarterbacks right now. Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. They're great quarterbacks. But again, there's no way that you can look at what we saw against or with the with the Bills and Chiefs and not think to yourself, okay, so we're watching the two best quarterbacks in the league and it's not that close. And to me, that's going to be the next great rivalry. That's going to be the Steve Young and Brett Favre. That's going to be the Joe Montana and John Elway. That's going to be the Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, or Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. You see, one's going to be more successful than the other. That's how it happens. I mean, if you look again, John Elway is, Joe Montana is more successful than John Elway. Steve Young is more successful than Brett Favre. Tom Brady is more successful than Peyton Manning and more successful than Aaron Rodgers. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to go back and forth. Colin Cowherd said this. Shouts out to him. And talking about this conversation, I think when it's all said and done, Patrick Mahomes might be more successful. But I think it's going to be neck and neck. This is the first rivalry. I can see them going neck and neck. Now, that doesn't mean that the Bills and the Chiefs are going to win a championship every single year. But when you look up, I put money that unless something drastically happens with either team or, one of their best players leaves or something like that, they will be the AFC. Whoever comes out the AFC will either have to see one of these two teams. That's just how. And Sean McDermott and Andy Reid are great coaches. It's going to be a battle for years to come. And Sunday confirmed that for me. Sunday confirmed, because I didn't want to prejudge, because it does, just because it's the best. I needed to see Josh Allen win that game. I need to see Josh Allen win that game, because to me it can't be a one-sided affair. That's kind of the reason why I didn't put Lamar Jackson up there, because Lamar Jackson hasn't won enough against Patrick Mahomes. I was at the stadium where the Ravens got destroyed by Patrick Mahomes. Now I also remember Lamar Jackson beat them. But Lamar Jackson hasn't won enough against Patrick Mahomes. And while I'm sure Patrick Mahomes probably has a winning record over Josh Allen, this is the best team that Josh Allen has. And again, I needed to see Josh Allen beat Patrick Mahomes in a game where, while it was a equally fought game. It was just one or two mistakes that ended the game. One or two mistakes decided this game. I needed to see Josh Allen have to go into Arrowhead, by the way. Go into Arrowhead and face those elements and how he was going to fare. Because if they would have came back, right? If they would have came back and on Sunday the Chiefs would have just destroyed the Bills, then it's like, I can't put that, because, if Patrick Mahomes continues to beat Josh Allen, that's not really a rivalry. But I think that we have it. I needed to see Josh Allen rise up and win, and he did that. So I think we have the next one, which is, I think we have the next great quarterback. Because again, it's 1 and 2. It doesn't matter who you put. You can say Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the league right now. You can say Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. And it's a very wide gap for 3. Very wide. And it doesn't matter who you put at 3. It's a very wide gap. So that's what I saw. But let's continue to break down week 6 of, the NFL slate. Let's start with Thursday night football. I didn't talk about, because I didn't have an episode on Wednesday, so I didn't talk about it. The Commanders beat the Bears 12-7. The only thing I got out of this is Dan Snyder should sell the team. I'm not gonna let people forget that. I'm not gonna let people forget that, and the fact that Brett Favre is a incredibly slimy human being. But Dan Snyder needs to sell the team. All the accusations against him, some of it actually proven. He needs to sell the team. I know that they're saying he has dirt on everybody. Who cares, bro? Sell the team. I know Jim Irsay came out yesterday and said they could be pushing to sell the team, bro, or vote him out, sell the team. But Carson Wentz is out, 4 to 6 weeks with yet another injury. Hey, I heard somebody on Twitter said that Carson Wentz was the NFL version of Anthony Davis. And I don't think they really understood when they tweeted that how disrespectful that is to Anthony Davis. Because Anthony Davis, when healthy, you can argue that he's a top 5 player. Anthony Davis is Anthony Davis when he's healthy. The only problem that we have with Anthony Davis is his inability to stay healthy. That's the only problem that we have. Now, yes, we do think that some of his injury history is due to the fact of his probably lack of preparation in the offseason. But when healthy, Anthony Davis is a top 5 player, arguably, in the league, in the NBA. That is not the same for Carson Wentz. Now, yes, Carson Wentz did have that year that they won the Super Bowl. He did get injured halfway through it, but before the injury, he was an MVP candidate. I say he was the leading MVP candidate when he was with Philly. That's a while ago. That's a long time ago. I think that was, 17? That's a long time ago. Carson Wentz is out for 4 to 6 weeks with I think he broke his middle finger or ring finger, which means Tyler Heineke will be starting for the Commanders. I don't see much of a difference, to be honest with you. Not saying, yes, Carson Wentz, I believe, is better than Taylor Heineke. I'm sorry. However, with the offensive line still that bad, with the secondary on the defense still god-awful, there's not much that Taylor's going to do. Not to mention I think they have Green Bay. Even though Green Bay has been struggling, Green Bay is coming to town soon. So, but shouts out to the Commanders for beating the Bears. The Bears suck. The one thing, people brought this to my attention that I never really thought about. The Bears have never got offense right. Ever. Now, they did have a year when they had, Brandon Marshall and Matt Forte and Jay Cutler. But they've never really been that good at offense. They've always leaned on their defense. Their offense looks like god awful. Even it's hard. I don't know what to make of Justin Fields, man. I don't know if he's just that bad or he. No, it's a collection, bro. And I say that because when I look at Justin Fields and I look at what we saw on Thursday, a lot of it was the wide receiver core is not good. Let's be real. Outside of Mooney, the wide receiver core is not good. However, there was a lot of times when he held the ball way too long. That's his problem. I think he holds the ball longer than anybody in the league. He held the ball way too long. Yes, the offensive line is not good, but it's just a collection of trash. It's just Mooney's good, but it's a collection of trash. And even Mooney dropped the game-winning play, or should have caught the game-winning pass. Two bad teams. But shouts out to the Commanders. Again, Taylor Heineke will be the quarterback moving forward for the next 4 to 6 weeks. I still think that Ron Rivera should be out of there. Scott Turner should be out of there. Jack Del Rio should be out of there. And above all, Dan Snyder should be out of there. Let's move forward. Now, this Sunday was a little weird, man. Teams that you didn't expect to win got the win. Teams that you expected to win got destroyed. Starting with the Falcons, the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are 3-3, by the way. Shouts out to the head coach and shouts out to Marcus Mariota. Shouts out to all of them. They beat the 49ers. The 49ers. Now, yes, the 49ers aren't completely healthy. I think they were without Nick Bosa. But they beat the 49ers 28-14. It doesn't matter if you didn't have Nick Bosa or not. Brandon Ayuk was going crazy. Deebo Samuel still played. Jimmy Garoppolo still played. You should have beat the Falcons, but they didn't. The Falcons, it was good. Marcus Mariota answered every time he needed to answer. It was just a weird Sunday, man. But shouts out to the Falcons for beating the 49ers. I'll say this. Sunday's game for the 49ers is people say that Jimmy G was disrespected throughout the whole offseason, right? And we need to put respect on Jimmy G's name. Games like Sunday is why Jimmy G was shopped around all offseason. Bro, he's so inconsistent, man. He's so inconsistent. And you talk about us needing to give, like the fans and the sports media needs to give him respect. His own team gave up on him and went Trey Lance. The only reason why he's playing for the 49ers, by the way, is one, he couldn't find a trade partner, and two, Trey Lance is out for the season. That is it in a nutshell. Like it does. And Sunday's game showed you was a prime example of why the hell they were trying to get off of Cuz. Because he's not that consistent. When he's good, he's good. Don't get me wrong. But he's not consistent at all. So, but shouts out to the Falcons for beating the 49ers 28-14. The Patriots destroyed the Browns. Shouts out to Bailey Zappi for getting his first win as a starter. But the Browns, man, it's... Again, I don't remember who I talked about this. Oh, the Commanders. I talked about this with the Commanders. The Browns are a bunch of names, man. You have, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Peoples-Jones. On the defensive side, you have Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, Myles Garrett. You have, even though Jadeveon Clowney, I think he's still hurt, but you have pieces. It's not a team. This team's not good, and I understand that they're trying to tread water until Deshaun Watson gets back. Which, by the way, Deshaun Watson had yet another lawsuit filed on him. That's away from the other 25 or so lawsuits. Hey, man, I'm 8. This is if it is true, this is a wild dude, bro. But the Browns, man, I know Jacoby Brissett is a bona fide backup, but these games you should win. You should beat the Patriots with their third string quarterback starting. And Myles Garrett played, Denzel Ward played, Greg Newsome played. I don't know, man. It doesn't make sense, but. The Patriots beat them the way that the Patriots always beat them. Bailey Zappi had to make a couple plays. They beat him on the run game and they beat him on the defensive side of the ball. That's just how Oh, and shouts out to Bill Belichick. I think he had his 200th win. I think he's like third second. No, I think he's like third in all-time wins. Shouts out to you, man. But yeah, the Patriots, it's just the Browns, bro. The Browns. Woo! The Jets beat the Packers 27 in Green Bay, by the way, 27-10. I told you guys this before. There is a lot more wrong with the Packers than just the relationship between the wide receiver core and Aaron Rodgers. The defense has not been good. The offensive line hasn't been as good as we thought. I mean, this offensive line with Bakhtiari and stuff, it has been dominating for the past few years, and it has not been good. Now Randall Cobb's hurt. I think he's out for like 6 weeks. And they're waiting for Sammy Watkins to get back. This team is not that good, man. And now they keep saying, wait, give it time. You don't have that much time. I understand we're in week 6, but you don't have much time because the NFC in general is better. Hell, the NFC East has 3 teams that are above 500. And I don't see, I heard somebody say, I don't remember who said it, so I apologize for not giving you credit, but I heard somebody say this. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is right for this team. Whoa. Here's what I mean by that. This team needs someone that is able to be patient, that's able to develop talent, that is able to, take people under their wing and just be like, it's going to be all right. Even though we don't win, This is a growing process for Romeo Dobbs and growing process for Alan Lazard and stuff like that. Aaron Rodgers ain't got that type of patience, ain't got that type of time, don't want to be that type of person. That's like LeBron James. LeBron James has never in his entire career wanted to be that, let me get on it. I'll be on a team that's has a lot of young talent and we'll build them up. Hell, the man got Andrew Wiggins on draft night out of there. He got Andrew Wiggins, the #1 overall pick on draft night. Got him out of there. Put that man in Minnesota for Kevin Love. So LeBron James, how crazy he is, he's not. And I'm not taking away from the greatness of Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers is not one of them. Hey, yo, we got time. No, he ain't got time like that. Bro, I think he has 3-4 years tops and it's over with. And I think he knows that too, which is why you see him getting more and more frustrated with his wide receiver core, more and more frustrated with the play calling, more and more frustrated with the offensive line. Aaron Rodgers ain't got time for this. And I've said this again. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't think Matt LaFleur is that good of a coach. You know how I deem if you're a good coach or not? Me, I know it doesn't matter, but the way I deem good coaches, how do you look the second half of games and how do you look in clutch situations? The Packers are one of the worst second half teams in the league this year. As far as total yards, as far as scoring, they are one of the worst second half teams. When, your set plays can work. Green Bay is one of the best teams one of the best first quarter teams. But what happens when you're able to go to halftime and they've seen you for a half and now you have to make adjustments? They very rarely make adjustments. And things that are obvious, they don't do. Like, why is it that Aaron Jones is top 5 in yards per carry, but bottom 5 in carry attempts? It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. And let me give credits to the Jets, man. The Jets have been great this year with Zach Wilson and Sauce Gardner. They have been great this year. The Jets, Quentin Williams have been good. Robert Saleh as the coach, they have been good. So I'm not going to it's not all just the Packers. The Jets have been really good this year. They've been better than I thought they would be. I thought they'd be one of the worst teams. They have been a lot better. Their defense, some of the young pieces that we thought would take Bryce Hall, some of the young pieces that we thought would take some time to develop, they're clicking. Sauce Gardner was incredible on Romeo Dobbs on Sunday. The Jets are good, but the Packers, boy, oh boy. It's a lot more than just the relationship between Aaron Rodgers and these wide receivers, man. The defense is not as good as advertised with some great names. Zaire Alexander is one of the best defensive players in the league. Stokes is good-ish. Preston Smith, this, man. Yeah. Shouts out to the Jets for beating the Packers 27-10. The Colts beat the Jaguars 34-27. I will say shouts out to Trevor Lawrence for not throwing an interception. He has an interception problem. I pointed out he didn't throw one. However, Matt Ryan did have one of the best games he's ever had. And I think he threw the most passes in Colts history, or completed the most. I think he had 34 completions or something like that. So shouts out to the Colts. Shouts out to Matt Ryan for beating the Jaguars. And the Jaguars have been good this year too. Even though they're 2-4, they've been good. They've been a feisty 2-4. They've been all right. And the Colts, just even though they're 3-1, they have not been good at all. So, but shouts out to the Colts. The Vikings beat the Dolphins 24-16. Don't look now, but the Vikings are one of 2 NFC teams that are 1-5, and they are 2 games ahead of Green Bay in the NFC North. when I brought my man, the couch coach, on, I did say that the Vikings could be the best team in this division, and as we're seeing, they kind of are. It's the Vikings. The Vikings, to me, just needed a new voice in the room, and now that they have it, they have been looking great. So, shouts out to the Vikings and the Dolphins. They didn't have Tua. They might have won with Tua. I don't know, but Tua is set to come back on Sunday. Yeah, shouts out to the Vikings, man, for beating the Dolphins. The Bengals beat the Saints 30-26. The Saints found out on Sunday just how much, like, there's a hierarchy in New Orleans, and they are second when it comes to, it's Joe Burrow first, and when in the South, people underestimate how big college football is, and the fact that Joe Burrow did what he did at LSU, having one of the greatest statistical offensive seasons in college football history, and ultimately rounding it off with a national championship. Joe Burrow is a king in New Orleans, and the Saints found that out the hard way. Again, it's hard for, I will say this, the Saints have not looked good this entire year. Their defense has not been consistent in the slightest. It's been bad. Now, they have been riddled with injuries as far as Jameis Winston hasn't been playing, Michael Thomas hasn't been playing, Alvin Kamara has been in and out the lineup. So offensively, I understand, but defensively, it's been surprising with Cam Jordan, with Marshawn Lattimore, Tyrann Mathieu. I'm sorry, I just thought they would be better defensively, and they haven't been. So now I understand that it's kind of hard going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. Offense is tough, but they haven't really looked good all season. So, but shouts out to the Bengals for beating the Saints 30-26. Let's park here. The Giants beat the Ravens 24-20. Let's get the praise out the way. Shouts out to the Giants. The Giants have been a lot better. Again, I said this last episode, and I reiterate it. Brian Daboll is Duball. I don't know how you say his last name. I hear Daboll. I hear Duball. I don't know. Brian Daboll is how I'm going to say it. Is the coach of the year, in my opinion. He has been that good. Nobody thought that the Giants were good enough. Think about this. The Giants are 5-1. They are without their top 2 or 3 receivers. I don't know what the hell Kenny Galladay's doing. Darius Slayton has a fumbling or drops pop problem. Tony, he's in and out the lineup. In fact, he's on trade rumors at this point. They're trying to get him out of there. This team has been good. The defense, Kayvon Thibodeau has been good. He was crying on Sunday. This is Saquon Barkley's team. He's running up and down the field. He looks like he's rejuvenated, and he looks like the old Saquon Barkley before the injury. Daniel Jones is playing some of the best football he's played in his life. The Giants are the Giants. It just feels different when you look at the Giants, man. They deserve to be 5-1. So shout out to the Giants, man. And now the Ravens. As much as I talk about how poor the defense is, which the defense does struggle yet again, this is yet another game where they had a double-digit lead in the fourth and lost it. And as much as I love Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson's one of the top quarterbacks in the league, Sunday was on him. What I'm starting to see from Lamar Jackson, and I saw this a little bit last year, is kind of what we saw Patrick Mahomes, I think, last year as well. I think Lamar Jackson he tries to play hero too much. Now, some people try to play hero because they just want the spotlight. They just feel it that good. Bada bing, bada boom. You can tell that Lamar Jackson presses and tries to play hero because he understands his defense is not that good. They have names. They have Marlon Humphreys. They have Marcus Peters. They're not that good, though. Calais Campbell's there. They're not that good. And he just presses. We know about the costly interception. And the thing about the Ravens is these mistakes, the interception, the fumble, they are so huge because of how poor their defense is. I think the Giants scored on both the interception and the fumble by Lamar Jackson. Well, the fumble might have been like the end of the game. But I know for sure the interception. I'm just saying, man, Lamar Jackson, he understands, I'm sure, but Lamar Jackson's going to get the brunt of the praise and the brunt of the criticism. That's just how it's going to be. That's what happens when you're as good as Lamar Jackson. However, this is the third game where they had a double-digit lead in the second half and lost it. The third game this year. They could very well be 6-0. Well, they can very well be 5-1. But because they and that's another thing. It's not just the defense. Lamar Jackson, if you look at his QBR is terrible in the fourth quarter. It's like top 3, top 2 in the first and second quarter. And I think it's like top 10 in the third. And it's like bottom of the league in the fourth. Lamar Jackson needs to be better in the fourth. He needs to be better in the second half in general. Because they cannot. They're good enough to have double-digit leads. They just have to find a way to take it home. Because, again, this is the third time. 3. The Steelers beat the Buccaneers 20-18. Shouts out to Kenny Pickett. Shouts out to the Steelers. I had absolutely no faith in the Steelers for beating the the Steelers have not been good. Now, Kenny Pickett did go out with concussion-like protocol. Mr. Trubisky came in and secured the win, so I hope, Kenny Pickett is able to get back right. That they're going to be extra cautious, so more than likely he's not going to play next week or this week because of concussion protocol. But, I liked what I saw. I liked what I saw out of the Steelers, man. They didn't quit. They smacked the Bucs in the mouth, and and the Bucs, man. Again, 3-3. They have not looked good this year. They have not had a complete game this entire year. When I say complete game, they have not. Both units have not looked good at the same time. The defense has looked dominant, but the offense has looked god awful. Tom Brady looks old. Now, it doesn't look good. Now, Tom Brady yelling at the offensive line, cursing them out. I get that if you like Tom Brady just scoring all these points, you're not. Tom Brady is looking old as hell this year. He doesn't look good. That doesn't take away from his legacy, but that's just truth. The Buccaneers do not look good on offense. Now, I understand that, Chris Godwin missed some time. Julio Jones missed some time. Leonard Fournette isn't running with the consistency that they thought he would. But there should be no reason why in the entire game Mike Evans gets four targets. This Bucs team has not looked good, man. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I don't think they're going to make much noise in the playoffs. I mean, they're going to get there, and it's Tom Brady and everything, but I don't think they're going to make much noise because, nah. Another team I don't think is going to make much noise in the playoffs is the Rams. The Rams beat the Panthers 24-10 to address the Robbie Anderson situation. For people that don't know, Robbie Anderson got into it twice with a positions coach. They sent him to the locker room early. The very next day, he was traded to the Cardinals. I understand it. I will say this. I'm not going. I get you can't do that, Robbie. You cannot do that. you have to have a level of decorum. Now, I don't know what was said between him and the positions coach, but you have to have a level of decorum on the sideline. You have to have a level of professionalism, and you can't do that. You can't go, especially with the cameras looking hell. That's what's going on with Draymond Green right now. Now, no, it wasn't as serious as Draymond Green because you didn't punch him, at least from what we saw. But you can't do that, Robbie Anderson. Now, I will say this, though. I'm not condoning what Robbie Anderson did. He was in the wrong. But I'm almost sure if the Panthers were better, this would not be a problem. The Panthers made a lot of moves this offseason. And now, Robbie Anderson, and while he was traded, now they're saying he wasn't traded because of what happened on Sunday. He was going to get traded regardless. But now Robbie Anderson's traded. They're talking about DJ Moore might be on the trading block. Christian McCaffrey's going to be on the trading block. This team is not good. This team sucks, the Panthers. And you know, it's bad. The Rams are not good either. Their offensive line's still not that good. And the Rams look 10 times better than the Panthers on Sunday. So, yeah, there's a lot of problems in Carolina, I'll tell you that. But shouts out to the Rams for beating Carolina 24-10. The Seahawks beat the Cardinals 19-9. I have been saying that the Seahawks are a lot better than I thought they would be this year. I stand on that. Their record is definitely a lot better than I thought they'd be. They've been playing. Geno Smith has been playing a lot better than I thought. However, their defense is still one of the worst defenses in the league. Like, that has not changed. If you look statistically at almost every statistical metric, the Seahawks are one of the worst defensive teams in the league. And the Cardinals only can put 9 points on their head. There's a lot wrong with the Cardinals. Now, yes, DeAndre Hopkins will be back this week because, the 6-game suspension's over with. But there's a lot of problems. Cliff Kingsbury, I do not believe, will be the head coach of this team next year. I understand at the time having to paying, what's his name? Kyler Murray, but you paid him early because he was upset. And this team looks terrible. Again, the Seahawks are one of the worst defenses in the league, and you were only able to put 9 points on their head. They're playing better as a team as far as the Seahawks. They're playing a lot better than I thought, but their defense is still terrible, and you only could put 9 points on their head. Yeah. The Eagles beat the Cowboys 26-17. First and foremost, we're going to put to bed the whole Cooper Rush, Dak Prescott quarterback battle. I will stand on the fact of Cooper Rush. Dak Prescott is better. I said this in the video. I said this in, I think, my last episode. And I actually put a clip out on YouTube about it, but I'm going to reiterate it. Dak Prescott is better than Cooper Rush. I was never arguing, for the people that's coming at my neck, I was never arguing that Cooper Rush is better than Dak Prescott. I also wasn't arguing, because I'm seeing this argument too in my comments. I never said that Dak Prescott is an elite quarterback. What I said was the gap between Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush is not that wide. Like the gap between Patrick Mahomes and Chad Henne, wide. The gap between Justin Herbert and Chase Daniels, wide. I believe the backup for the Bills is Case Keenum. The backup, the gap between Josh Allen and Case Keenum is wide. The gap between Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush is not that wide. I'm not saying that Dak is better than Cooper Rush. Yes, he is. but he's not that much better, which is why I do understand him coming back, but I don't think that the Cowboys are going to look that much differently. I think that they'll look better because Dak Prescott is better. I just don't think that they'll look like world beaters. I think their defense is good. Their defense is great, one of the best units in the league with Mark Parsons and Lawrence. But their offense is their offense. I will say that they did a pretty good job leaning on the offensive line and leading on the run game with Zeke and Tony Pollard, and I wanted to see the game. I wanted to see what the game will look like with a team that makes Cooper Rush have to throw the ball more than 10 times or have to make completions. We saw it, and he had 3 interceptions. Now, shout out to the Eagles, the only undefeated team. The Eagles at this moment. Now, I understand that there's always a team that, like last year. Last year was the Cardinals. The Cardinals they weren't undefeated, but the Cardinals were going crazy. And a lot of people were saying, this team is going to the Super Bowl. That didn't happen, clearly. But this Eagles team is a complete team. When you look at their defense with Darius Slay and Gardner, and then it's now Lane Johnson going out did definitely change the tide, but you have Fletcher Cox, and on the offensive side of the ball, you still have Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert was good. Miles Sanders, this team is this. If the Eagles do not make it to at least the NFC Championship, there's something that went drastically wrong. I'll just say that. So, oof. In the game. So Monday Night Football, the Broncos lost to the Chargers 19-16. This was a display of very poor offenses. The Chargers, you know how bad it was, bro? I think the stat came out that Justin Herbert threw 57 times or something like that and didn't have a touchdown. I'll say that again. Justin Herbert threw 57 times and did not record a touchdown. It's Brandon Staley. Yet another week that he got bailed out for doing some stupid ass fourth down when you just kick the damn ball. But he got bailed out because the offense, Justin Herbert is good. But one of these days, it's going to backfire tremendously. In fact, it already did last year, but this year is going to backfire yet again. And that's going to cost him his job, bro. I don't want it to, but that's going to cost him his job. And the Broncos, man. There's so much wrong with the Broncos. It's not just Russ, but Russ is a big part of it. Russ was a big part of why they lost. It's not the fact that he went 10 for 10 like the first quarter. Looked like the old Russ, going crazy, using his legs. Their first year tight end, which actually was his first game on Monday night, he caught a touchdown. They were looking like gangbusters. But then I think so think about this. He went 10 for 10, right? He went 10 for 10 the first quarter and finished the game with 15 completions. For all my math deficient people, that means that for 3 quarters, from quarters 2 to 4, he only completed 5 passes. And yes, the offensive line is not good. But there were a lot of times when the tight end was right in his face and he missed it. He's not seeing the field well at all. the tight end would be right in his face. The wide receiver would be flashing right in his face, and he'd miss it. Oh. On top of that, Melvin Gordon got benched after like the 4 carries. No explanation why. Now, I think Melvin Gordon Melvin Gordon definitely has a fumbling problem, but he was at least looking good those 4. The Chargers defense, which is missing a lot of their J.C. Jackson got benched. J.C. Jackson got benched. Joey Bosa wasn't playing. And they only got 16 points. And the wide receivers weren't really getting it. It's just Nathaniel Hackett was doing stupid elementary plays yet again. Russell Wilson couldn't read a damn Dr. Seuss book if it was the defense. That's how bad. Like he was missing wide open people. Like there was a 3rd and 1. The tight end was right in his face. A very important 3rd and 1. The tight end was right in his face. This man chucked the ball so far down the field to try to get to Judy, and Judy didn't even look because he didn't. It wasn't even close. This game went to overtime. And of course, the only way this game was going to end, you get a stop. You get a 4th down stop. The Broncos get a 4th down stop. Kick the punt. And it hits the player. It's a muff punt, which pushed them in field goal range. Push the Chargers in field goal range. They ultimately win. So now the Chargers are 4-2, which is probably one of the most fraudulent 4s and 2s I've seen in a while. And the Broncos are 2-4. Probably one of the most fraudulent 2-4s I've ever seen in my life. Because I don't know how this team, even though they did lose to the Falcons, I don't know how the Broncos beat the 49ers. This is 49ers that had most of their pieces. Like, not everyone was injured. There you have it. That's been week 6 of the NFL week. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah, man. Let me know what you guys. Let me know. Yo, Russ, what happened, bro? I don't know. Let's move forward. So the NBA season is here. The season started last night, and I'm shooting this right before the first game, which is, of course, is Philly and Boston. So I don't know the outcome, but the NBA season is here. My favorite time of the year. We all know, for people that don't know, basketball is my favorite sport. I love basketball. It's my, I don't get me wrong, I like football too, but basketball is still basketball. So with the season starting, I want to give my predictions. I want to give my award predictions. Let's start with the MVP. The MVP can go a lot of ways. To me, this is one of the first years where a lot of people have narratives. And the MVP is more of a narrative-based thing. Now, yeah, you have to be talented and you have to be good. You have to put up the numbers, but you have to have a narrative. And I see multiple narratives, man. I can see Giannis getting it because, it's Giannis, and he's the best player in the world at this point. I can see Steph and leading the Warriors to another championship run. I can see Luka. He's one of the best young talents. I can see KD. There's a lot of people that can be MVP this year. That also speaks to just how talented the league is. But for my MVP, I am going to go with Joel Embiid. I'm going to go with Joel Embiid because if Joel Embiid has the seasons like he had the last 2 years, which he finished second both of them years, I don't think that the voters are going to be like, yeah, we got to make him second again. I understand that going into this season, Luka Doncic is like the favorite for the 3rd straight year, but I'm going to go Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is arguably the best center in the league. If he has a season, I think that he's going to have a season like he did last year. I don't think he's going to lead the league in scoring again, but I think he's going to have a good season. And I believe that Philly is going to see more success in year than they did last year. So I have Joel Embiid winning the MVP. Defensive Player of the Year. This might be a little surprising to people, but I think Kawhi Leonard. I think people, because he hasn't played that long, he didn't play all last year, and because we haven't seen him play in a while, we forget just how good of a defender he is. I understand Rudy Gobert is out there. I was thinking about Draymond Green, but I don't know if the voters are going to vote him for what happened, and But I have Kawhi Leonard. I think Kawhi Leonard is going to remind people, "Ayo, I'm still that dude when it comes to defense, especially on-ball defense." I just think Kawhi Leonard is going to be that good. Kawhi Leonard is Kawhi Leonard. Let's not forget. I mean, before his injury, a lot of people were saying he could arguably be the best player in the league. So I think that he's going to remind people just how good defensively he is. So I have Kawhi Leonard. Most improved player, I have Tyrese Maxey. Now, I think that he is going to play a huge part in the success of, how far Philly goes. I do want to see what James Harden looks like with an entire year with the Philadelphia 76ers. But I think that the James Harden is going to be James Harden. For the last few years or the last year or two, it looks like he's not really able to separate like that. But Tyrese Maxey is on a different level when we talk about speed and quickness. So I think that Tyrese Maxey is going to be going to play a huge part. So I have Tyrese Maxey. I just think there's going to be a lot put on him, and at least what we've heard and what we see in the preseason, he looks really good. So I have Tyrese Maxey as most improved. Sixth man of the year, going to Jordan Poole. Cuz got the big money. We know what happened. To me, he should have won most improved player last year. I think he understands, from what we're hearing it with his work ethic and what we're seeing when we look at the increase in volume and scoring and just how good he is. I think he should have won most improved player last year. Jordan Poole, he understands, especially with the money that they just gave him, he understands how important he is to this team as far as not only their future, but their present in trying to repeat as a champion. Coming off the bench, that scoring power, I think he's going to be good. I mean, hell, he looked good in the preseason, and I think he's going to be good. So I have Jordan Poole, sixth man of the year. Coach of the year, I have Mike Malone. I think this is going to be a good year for Denver. I'm going to give my predictions a little late or in a minute, but finals and everything. But I think this is going to be a good year for Denver. I think when they get Michael Porter Jr. back, they get Jamal Murray back, and of course you have the two-time reigning MVP and Nikola Jokic. This is going to be a good year. Aaron Gordon's still there. It's going to be a good year, and I think that they're going to be, at least record-wise, top, if not close to the top in the West. So I have Coach of the Year Mike Malone. Rookie of the Year, Paolo Banchero. I just think from what we've seen in the preseason, he looks like the far and away best rookie in the league. It was going to be to me, it was going to be kind of, you can argue him and Chet, but with Chet being out for the year, Paolo looks like the runaway favorite to me, and he looks really good in the preseason. So I have Paolo Banchero, Rookie of the Year. For my finals, let me start with my sleeper final MVP. Now, I don't know. This could happen. There's a lot of great teams, especially in the East this year, and hell, there's a lot of great teams in the league. But my sleeper finals prediction, or a finals matchup, I'm not going to give the winner because it's a sleeper. My sleeper finals prediction is Philly and Denver. It's hard for me to put my faith in, and it's hard for me to put my faith in Tobias Harris. I'll tell you that. But from what we're hearing, James Harden is in shape, and Joel Embiid is motivated. Tyrese Maxey has made a big leap. Getting PJ Tucker, especially defensively, is big. So I have Milton. I think that that's going to be a good team. I think that's going to be a really good team, and I would not be shocked if you look up and they're in the finals. And I just talked about Denver. Denver made it all the way to the playoffs without their two best players, or without two of their three best players. Now, the other best player, which Nikola Jokic, was there, but they didn't have Jamal Murray for all of the season, and they didn't have Michael Porter Jr. for most of the season. I just think people don't understand how big of acquisitions those are for Denver, and play alongside someone like Nikola Jokic, as we've seen in the bubble. Now, I know it's the bubble, but Jamal Murray can go crazy, and Michael Porter Jr. can go crazy. I think Denver is going to be really good this year. I think they're going to be really good, and I think that they're going to have something to say about who makes it to the finals. Now, my actual finals prediction, that was my sleeper. My actual finals prediction is Milwaukee versus Golden State. I think Golden State in the West is the most complete team. They can go 4 or 5 deep, and you can't really say that. You can't say that about any other team. Now, you thought it was going to be the Phoenix Suns, and I do think the Phoenix Suns are going to be okay this year. I just think, when any given night, it can be someone different. Any given night, it can be Steph. It can be Clay. It can be Andrew Wiggins, who also got a bag. Congratulations to you, brother. It can be Jordan Poole. And the thing that I need to see, and that's going to really shape this year, in my opinion, it's not the Draymond Green-Jordan Poole relationship. It is how Golden State needs Jonathan Kuminga to improve. They need James Wiseman to improve. I mean, James Wiseman is the 2nd overall pick. Jonathan Kuminga is a lottery pick. They need Dante DiVincenzo that they got from Milwaukee. I think they got from Sacramento. So I just think those are young. That's young talent. They did lose Otto Porter Jr., which was big, especially defensively. They did lose Gary Payton, which was huge defensively, but they're hoping that Moody and Kuminga and Jonathan Wiseman can pick up the slack. And if that's the case, like if James Wiseman can look anything in the regular season like he did in the preseason, playing alongside a Clay and a Steph and a Draymond Green, it's going to be a problem. Same as Jonathan Kuminga. They're going to use him probably a lot for the 3 and 4. And he is athletic as hell. It looks like he jumps from a trampoline every single time. This is going to be big, and I have Golden State winning the championship. I have Golden State in 7. I like the Bucks because the Bucks is a team. The Bucks is a team. The Bucks are a complete team. When you talk about Giannis, they have the best player in the world, and playing alongside Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton is going to miss a couple weeks with rehabbing from surgery, but Chris Middleton is very underrated and very important for this team, alongside Drew Holiday and Bobby Portis is important for the team. Now, the only reason why I have Golden State is because, to me, they have more people that can win. Kind of like what we saw with this year's final, or last year's finals, I guess you can say, which was Golden State and Boston. While Boston had more player, to me, Boston was a better team, but Golden State, more people stepped up in big situations. Steph Curry stepped up. I mean, he was a Finals MVP. Andrew Wiggins stepped up defensively. When they needed him, Clay hit some big shots late in the series. So I just, Gary Payton Jr., especially defensively, was big. Otto Porter hit some big shots. So I just think Golden State can hit you with a lot. And I have Golden State going back to back. So those are my predictions. What are your predictions? What do you think is going to happen? Who do you think is going to make it out the West? Who do you think is going to make it out the East? What do you think is going to happen with the Lakers and Russell Wilson and Pat Bev and LeBron, Anthony Davis? What do you think is going to happen with Golden State? What do you think is going to happen with Brooklyn? Do you think Brooklyn is going to be able to make it to the championship with Ben Simmons and KD and Kyrie? Let me know what you think. And lastly, before we go, I sent a lot of heat the Mets way because they lost first 100 win or 100 plus win team to not even make it out the wild card round. The same heat will be sent to the Dodgers. Yes, the Dodgers didn't even have to play in the wild card round because they were the number 1 seed in their division, or number 1 seed in the playoffs. But the Dodgers won 111 games in the regular season. The Dodgers, I think, spent $320 million on their payroll. The Dodgers have Mookie Betts, who a lot of people can argue is a top 3 or 4 player in the league. Last year's MVP in Freddie Freeman, they got him from the Braves. They still have Clayton Kershaw. This team, in fact, hold on. This team, they're still big name. Hold on. Dodgers. This team is one of the most stacked teams. Corey Bellinger, Joey Gallo, Trey Turner. Max Muncy, Craig Kimbrell. All these players. And you lose to the Padres. 3-1. Now, I understand the Padres do have some people. I mean, you did go up against Manny Machado. They also went up against Juan Soto. You also went up against Josh Hader. But let's not forget, this team limped into the playoffs. The Padres did. This team is also without arguably their best or second best player in Fernando Tatis. Let me remind you. Oh, Blake Snell also plays for this team. I forgot about that. Let me not remind you. Oh, and Josh Bell. They got him from the first baseman from the Nationals with the trade with Juan Soto. But do not forget, Mookie Betts is Mookie Betts. Freddie Freeman is the MVP of this league. Cody Bellinger. Clayton Kershaw. Julio Urias. Joey Gallo. Trey Turner. Max Muncy. Greg Kimbrell. Didn't even make it to the divisional championship. I said that the Mets not even making out the wild card was one of MLB's biggest failures of, biggest upsets of all time, biggest collapses of all time. Dodgers might be, if not first, second. The only reason why I'll probably still give it to the Mets is because they didn't make it out the wild card. But this Dodgers team made so many moves to win now. So many moves to win now. Getting Freddie Freeman was a win now move. Getting Joey Gallo was a win now move. And they didn't even make it to the divisional championship. They lost in the NLDS. They didn't even make it to the NLCS. To a Padres team, by the way, again, that is missing their first or second best player in Fernando Tatis. I don't know. It's either the Mets or the Dodgers as probably biggest failures in MLB history. One of them two, in my opinion. So there you have it. That's been today's episode of the Unpopular Podcast. I appreciate you guys. Again, I apologize for not dropping on Wednesday. I will try my hardest not to miss another one. If you want an Unpopular Podcast shirt, hoodie, sweater, long sleeve joggers, the link is in the description below. I have multiple different colors, multiple different designs. Get your Unpopular Podcast merch today. Also, please subscribe to if you're listening. Please subscribe to if you're watching. Please tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. I'm trying to get the algorithms going, and I need you guys' help. I can't do it alone. I want more people to experience the Unpopular podcast, especially if you like it. Please tell a friend to tell a friend. And until next time, much love.